Most people believe focus is something you summon. You wait for motivation. You wait for a clear mind. You wait for the right mood. And when none of those appear, you assume something is wrong with your discipline. But in reality, focus rarely collapses because of laziness. It collapses because of instability. Too many decisions, too many inputs, too much friction between intention and action. The modern day begins loudly. Notifications, messages, news, email. A dozen tiny demands competing for attention before your brain has even stabilized. And once attention scatters, it becomes harder to recover. This is why many people feel busy but unfocused. They are active but not anchored. Interestingly, some of the most effective routines that stabilize attention are not dramatic productivity hacks. They are quiet, almost invisible habits embedded in daily life. In many Japanese environments, homes, workplaces, schools, there is a subtle respect for rhythm, not intensity. Rhythm. Repetition is not viewed as boring. It is viewed as stabilizing. The same small actions repeated daily remove unnecessary decisions and protect mental clarity. This is where the philosophy of Kaizen becomes powerful. Kaizen simply means continuous improvement through small, manageable steps. It assumes something very practical. Large changes are fragile, but small adjustments are sustainable. Instead of forcing focus through effort, you design routines that make focus easier to enter. Today, we'll explore 5 quiet, Japanese-inspired routines that stabilize your focus. Not through motivation, through structure. The first routine is surprisingly simple. Begin the day with a low-friction physical reset. In many Japanese homes, mornings start with small grounding movements. Opening windows, folding bedding, light stretching, simple tidying. None of these actions are impressive, but psychologically, they serve a purpose. Your brain transitions from sleep to alertness gradually. This transition is influenced by movement light exposure and predictable sequences. When the first action of your day is reaching for your phone, your brain receives fragmented stimuli immediately. Messages, images, information. This creates what psychologists call attention fragmentation. Instead of warming up your cognitive system, you scatter it. A small physical routine does the opposite. Opening a window introduces light and fresh air. Stretching activates circulation. Tidying the sleeping space creates a visible signal that the day has begun. These actions are not about productivity. They are about stabilization, because the brain performs better when it can predict the first steps of the day. You reduce decision fatigue before the day even begins. Try something small tomorrow. One action. Open the window. Stretch for 1 minute. Fold the blanket. Not because it is meaningful, because it is repeatable. The second routine builds on this idea. Create a single task start point. Many people begin work by scanning everything. Email, messages, notifications, news. It feels productive, but cognitively, it creates overload. Your brain shifts rapidly between contexts before it has established momentum. In contrast, many Japanese work environments encourage beginning with a clearly defined task. One document, one report, one physical process, just one. This reduces cognitive friction. The brain prefers continuity. When you start with a single task and complete it, dopamine releases gradually. Not from novelty, but from progress. Progress stabilizes motivation. Completion creates clarity, and clarity builds momentum. So instead of asking yourself, what should I work on today? Choose your starting task the night before. Make it obvious. Make it small. Remove the decision entirely. Focus grows when the entry point is clear. And this leads directly to the third routine one that quietly protects attention throughout the day. We'll look at that next. The third routine that stabilizes focus is rarely discussed in productivity advice, but it appears consistently in environments designed for long-term concentration. Deliberate monotasking. In many modern work cultures, multitasking is treated as efficiency. Respond to messages while writing. Check email while attending meetings. Scroll while thinking. But the brain does not multitask well. It switches. Every switch carries a cognitive cost. The brain must pause, reorient, recall context, and resume processing. This cost is small in isolation, but repeated hundreds of times per day, it drains attention. Researchers call this task switching fatigue. The more frequently you switch tasks, the more energy your brain spends reconstructing context. In contrast, many Japanese productivity systems emphasize focused blocks of work, not long, heroic sessions, just protected intervals, one task, one direction, one uninterrupted sequence. This practice appears in quiet forms across daily life. Craftsmen working steadily at a single process. Students practicing repetitive drills, office workers completing defined steps before moving to the next. It is not glamorous, but it is effective because the brain relaxes when the rules are simple, one thing at a time. You can experiment with this through what might be called a focus container. Choose a short window, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. During that window, do only one task. No switching, no scanning, no checking. Then pause, reset, and begin the next container. You are not forcing discipline. You're simplifying attention. Now, the fourth routine might seem unrelated to focus at first, but it is actually deeply connected. Environmental minimalism. Focus is not only internal, it is environmental. Every object in your visual field competes for attention. Stacks of papers, open browser tabs, notifications, cluttered desks. Each item sends a signal to the brain. This might require attention. Your brain cannot completely ignore these signals. Even subtle distractions increase cognitive load. In many Japanese interiors, home studios, workspaces, you often see something different. Fewer objects, clear surfaces, defined spaces for specific actions. This is not about aesthetics. It is about reducing visual friction. When the environment is simple, attention stabilizes. The brain does not need to filter as much information. A clear desk signals a clear task. This is why even small environmental changes can have outsized effects on focus. Close unused tabs. Place your phone out of reach. Clear everything from your desk except what the current task requires. Not permanently, just during the work block. The goal is not minimalism as a lifestyle. It is minimalism as a focus tool. Now, the fifth routine is perhaps the quietest of all, and also one of the most powerful. A structured ending to the day. Focus tomorrow depends heavily on how today ends. Most people end the day abruptly. Work stops. Screens continue. Sleep arrives unevenly. But the brain benefits from closure. In many Japanese workplaces, the day ends with small rituals of reset. Tools are returned. Spaces are cleaned. Tomorrow's tasks are outlined. These actions signal completion. They also reduce uncertainty, because when you sit down the next morning, the starting point is already waiting. Try a simple closing routine. Write tomorrow's first task. Clear the desk. Close the notebook. 3 small actions. 2 minutes. This protects your future focus. And over time, these 5 routines begin to connect. A calm beginning. A clear starting task. Protected focus containers. A simplified environment. And a deliberate ending. None of these actions require motivation. They require design. Focus, in this sense, is not something you chase. It is something you stabilize. If you look closely, these routines share something important. They are small, almost unimpressive, but that is precisely why they work. Large productivity systems often fail because they depend on emotional energy. When motivation fades, the system collapses. Small routines are different. They survive low motivation. They survive busy days. They survive imperfect moods. This is the quiet logic behind Kaizen. Instead of asking, "How can I become more disciplined?" you ask a different question. How can I make focus easier to enter? The answer is rarely heroic. It is environmental. Predictable sequences reduce decision fatigue. Clear starting points reduce hesitation. Limited inputs reduce cognitive noise. Short focus containers reduce overwhelm. And closing rituals reduce mental residue. Over time, these tiny adjustments compound. Your brain begins to trust the rhythm of your day. Attention stabilizes more quickly. Momentum appears sooner. And distraction becomes less attractive. Not because you have more willpower, but because the system requires less of it. Focus ultimately is a form of energy management. Your attention is strongest when your environment is simple. Your routines are predictable, and your decisions are limited. This is not a secret technique. It is quiet design. The kind of design that improves life without demanding constant effort. And that may be the most valuable lesson here. Consistency beats intensity. A single dramatic burst of productivity can feel exciting. But steady, repeatable focus changes your trajectory. Not in a week, but over months and years. So tomorrow morning, don't attempt to transform your entire routine. Choose one adjustment. Open the window before checking your phone. Define your first task the night before. Work for 20 minutes without switching. Clear the desk. Write tomorrow's starting point. Small actions, repeated daily. Because focus is rarely built in moments of inspiration. It is built quietly, one stable day at a time.